Alright, so this is a pretty simple drill. This is just a drill to try to teach you guys the switch in the air high knee drill that we do, or the A skip that we do. As you can see, I'm just stepping off a slightly raised surface, which here it's just a curb, and this curb is only a couple inches high, 2 or 3 inches high. And I chose it specifically because it was sort of half the height of some of the other curbs around this parking lot. But when you step off this curb, you're trying to practice the switch in the air, which is you picking the drive knee up into the leg before. The idea of doing it before it goes down, and then you're really trying to get the leg as long as possible and the hips as high as possible and the toe up until you hit the ground. So again, really straight extended leg early, toe up still, extending from the hip, really tall upper body, and as tall as you can on contact all the way through the hip. Alright, so here's an example of how not to do this drill. What you don't want to do is immediately point the toes at the ankle. This is firing the ankle joint prior to the rest of the leg. And then what you'll get is this really high up on the toe contact, which, as you can see here, when the toe hits, there's a lot of slack time, there's a lot of crashing into your ankle joint, and it's almost impossible to extend the leg at the knee when the toe's that pointed. So what you get is this really yielding, sinking contact that you lose a ton of energy in all this time spent sinking into the ankle and into the hip and into the knee, which is super inefficient. So with this toe contact is where you create a lot of injuries in sprinters, like shin splints, and you have no access to all the power from your hip and core.
1, running tall. Tell me if you've ever seen a kid do something like this. They're either running like they're sneaking up on somebody, they're running with their hips forward, or they're running on their heels. What I found is that the easiest way to correct that is just have the athletes think about running as tall as they can, walking as tall as they can, doing all these drills as tall as they can. A couple of cues I like to use are trying to feel their vertebrae expanding while they're doing these drills. Another one I like is to pretend there's a low ceiling and they have to have their head try and scrape the ceiling the whole time. So what I do to teach a kid how to run well is just have them start walking tall. So right now all I'm trying to do is keep my head as tall as I can through the whole movement pattern of walking. Alright, from there we add a straight leg shuffle. Again, trying to stay as tall as you can through the whole thing. The whole time I'm doing this, I'm trying to stay as tall as I can, keep that head on a low ceiling. From there, it's really easy to keep your feet underneath your body when you're doing a straight leg shuffle, but when you add some distance to it, that's where kids start to get a little scrunchy. So here we're trying to do the exact same thing, we're just adding some distance. Again, I'm trying to feel my vertebrae extending, and I'm trying to keep my head on that low ceiling. So a couple common faults you'll find is when kids start getting longer, they start leaning back. And as you can see, if their head's as high as it can go and they start leaning back, there's a gap there. They just got smaller. So they want to stay tall. So while they're moving their legs, they want to keep their head nice and tall. I hope this helps a little bit.